Welcome back to another issue. I'm Beastie Boy,
I'm Table.
I'm Red.
It is I, Shino Brando.
and for today we discuss a meeting of the minds and a fishman as we continue our foray into what is allegedly a coherent universe.
This is just the weird pair. In our big list, this is the weird pair. The previous episode, when we did Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, yeah, that's an odd pairing, but there's some good to be had. This one, on the other hand. To start off this adventure, we're going to start off with, I guess we're going to call it Joss Whedon's Justice League.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a better way to phrase it. This movie was directed by Zack Snyder, but initially, and then through a series of unfortunate events, Joss Whedon, who decided to crap on the whole thing. Anyway, it released November 17th, 2017.
Checked on that same statement. Not only did he bomb it, but he just reused the same script over. But we'll get to that.
It had a budget of $300 million. It made $657.9 million. So it made its money back, but didn't do anything like a Justice League movie should.
It just existed. It happened. And we all have to live with that.
Boy, do I hate the first scene in this movie where these two kids approach Superman and ask them about their podcast.
Yeah, that was fucking dumb.
Superman, can we get a close-up of your upper lip, please?
So to give some context, Superman's upper lip still had a mustache because he was shooting the latest then Mission Impossible. And so this entire movie, they had to CGI over his lip to make it bare like everybody else's.
Which was just... he always looks a little bit Uncanny Valley because of the way they just, make him a little bit too shiny. But this went from the cusp of the Uncanny Valley right down to the bottom of that ravine.
It's terrible, man. The moment I sat down in that theater and I watched that scene, I was just like, man, that upper lip that's way noticeable, man. You tried hard to hide that.
Also, these kids going up for a podcast. God damn.
Boy, did I have to look at myself in the mirror and be like,
Would I do that?
Yeah, is that me?
Is that me?
I mean,
No.
whatever. The intro decides to throw you into the world without Superman, so everything sucks apparently already. Everybody's sad. The skies are already gray. They'll never see blue skies again. It's in mourning. Crime is on a rise for some reason. That there's as if
the hope is gone.
Beforehand. Hope is gone apparently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's the symbol of hope and justice and all that other stuff, and he's gone.
And criminals in every city in the U.S. were super scared of Superman before, and now they don't have to be, because that makes
For those
sense.
8 months, they were super scared.
Super scared.
Although there's national news of a guy who's crazy enough to wear a bat suit branding people, but we're not scared of him, I guess. Whatever.
Nah, he has to take a plane like everybody else. Nobody can get here in time.
I'm convinced, since we're on the bat now, I'm convinced that, even though Zack Snyder directed both films, this Batman is significantly nicer once he meets Superman.
But that's Whedon's hand in that, man.
Honestly, it's weird to tell the difference. I am a fan of some of Whedon's work. Not all of it, because the man does some dicey things. But,
Oh, yeah.
Serenity, great. Firefly, I can watch that shit over and over again. Age of Ultron, I'm sorry, that's Weekend at Ultron's.
Basically, what you're seeing between their interaction between Affleck and Cavill, it's what you're seeing between Downey and Evans. It's the same carbon copy stuff. It doesn't change with Whedon's writing now. Like I was saying before, Age of Ultron and Justice League are the same film. It's the same setup. Foreign country, big battle, foreign family caught in the middle. It's the same thing. It's repetitive between the two. And you can take both films, watch them frame by frame, and be like, I can now see the movie, both movies being the same movie. It's terrible, man. That's why I don't like this Justice League movie, because I'm watching Age of Ultron all over again.
Okay, but here's the thing. You're not wrong in any way, shape, or form, because this movie, if you look at the broad strokes of it, is garbo. However, if you forget about the rest of the movie and just focus on whatever scene you're watching at the time, you can just enjoy those scenes individually. And just enjoy this, and then the next one, and then the next one, and just try not to think too hard about how this doesn't form a good picture.
Well, yeah, you're correct on that. Like I said before, there are some parts of this movie that are enjoyable, right? That you can take and be like, oh, they did a good job on that. But when you put the whole thing together, it's like you said, it's not a great film.
What I can say, the interactions between all the same pre the resurrection of Superman, I find to be very animated series Justice League.
It's very accurate, right? Between Diana and Victor. Yeah.
Diana and Cyborg talking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Cyborg wanting to stay in the shadows because he doesn't think of himself as the monster, but he coerces his dad into saying that he is. Which
He also, knows that he looks real fucked up.
Yeah.
I like that little interaction, like with each different like characters, because like later on too, with Anna and Victor talking when they were like looking for the mother box, it was just kind of funny because like it was finally when the team had grouped up, and it was just like, oh yeah, then I was like, oh Victor, do you think you can search for them? If anything, we'll pull you out. And then you see Victor looking at Aquaman, just looking back at like Diana, be like, you just keep that merman away while I do my work. And this man was flexing hard.
They're all right, fine.
Yeah, there are some key scenes with these guys. And like again, the grouping together, they seem to be like a tight knit group. They bounce off each other's energy. And the job gets done, right? There's a lot of scenes in that movie that work. I'm planning to go resurrect Superman, right? And then Aquaman sitting on the lasso. That whole scenario is a funny, well placed scenario for me.
It's hilarious.
When Flash and Cyborg have to dig Clark's body out and trying to give Cyborg some daps, right? And he's like, "Oh, we're not ready for that racially charged kind of respect yet." Okay, I get it, right? And it's just like the uneasiness of not knowing how to talk to Cyborg, and then easing in the, oh look, we're the lab accidents, we're the mistakes. All that shit was like good stuff, man. Like they kind of worked really well together.
This is a team.
Again,
it meshes. It's like
it meshes.
Even though this film like feels very rushed and feels a little disjointed in some places, like if you follow along what Table said, if you watch the movie, just go in with some low expectations,
very low,
you're gonna get like more than you bargained for.
Did you know that 37% of you aren't subscribed to the channel on YouTube? You can help change that by hitting the subscribe button just below the video. And now back to the show.
Sure, you've got to set the bar pretty low, but as opposed to our previous foray, like Batman v Superman and Man of Steel don't feel that cohesive.
And that's the thing, because they try to capitalize on trying to make it a connected universe, so they just kind of insert it.
Whereas here, we're already there.
I realized the interactions between, or how the team was pulled, it felt more like in Avengers 1 rather than it was like Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and you're that's what I said, because that's Whedon's handiwork right there, right? That's why you get that familiar feeling.
The reason Age of Ultron was bad was because Joss Whedon's incapable. I mean, there's a lot of reasons it was bad. Don't get me wrong. The reason the character stuff was bad was because Whedon's incapable of writing characters who like each other. And in the first Avengers, that was fine because, it's like a team building thing. Like, they don't know each other yet. Where in Age of Ultron, they're supposed to be cool with each other, and they just really weren't. And so that kind of interaction works, again, in Justice League. Except, interestingly, here, there was less, like, dick measuring macho bullshit. It was just sort of like...
I appreciated...
Actual...
Yeah, because it's already too late at this point.
Yeah,
it's already too late at this point because we just fought Doomsday together. We lost Superman together. So there's no real reason for us to be like at each other's throats. We survived a war together. So like we have to be kind of friendly at this point, right? It's a bit different on that point because with Whedon, he had his hands in an origin to start the Avengers, and it kind of carried over to Age of Ultron, as where someone already did the work trying to get these guys connected. So he has to like work with what was already set. Again, like he has to keep it minimal in this one because it's again, the team building has already been built, right? Batman and Diana have already been talking since the incident, right? So,
but listen, later on in the movie, Batman goes, "Yeah, and you could put on a bat costume, and I won't even sue." And I'm like, "Oh, are you flirting again? Hello, Bruce Wayne."
They can't make him full Playboy because he's old and grumpy now. But like,
I don't know.
But man's got some game.
Got some game.
You see, when he was working on BVS, this guy is stacked as fuck, right? I mean, he's got some salt and pepper on the side. So I mean, like he can still get it, right?
But like he's now officially entering the sugar daddy territory as by the end of the film.
No, he's already in the sugar daddy territory.
Listen, but he can't. But he can't be her sugar daddy because she's a million.
Honestly, she's probably the best. Out of the superhero excuse of I can't date you because I have enemies, bro. It's Wonder Woman.
Like you think your fucking dipshit enemies are gonna be able to do anything to Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman. That's all I'm gonna say to that. It's Wonder Woman. I don't have to say anything else.
If anything, you're the one who's gonna get curb stomped by her enemies. Like
right, right. Like
when she fights Steppenwolf for the first time, I'm like, oh. Up until then, you didn't really have a measure of how strong this dude is. Yeah, he fought the Amazons, but we don't really have a gauge of their strength per se. And
they just exist.
and he fought the Atlanteans, but there's really only 3 of them in that scene, so who really cares?
Dude, Wonder Woman just thugs them all, bro. Like, like she took on Doomsday, no fear. She saw Steppenwolf. She's like, I'm gonna kill him, no matter, bro. She's like Diana's a thug, bro. She goes in on these guys.
Let alone Diana. Regarding from earlier, like when Steppenwolf came to the island for like fighting the Amazons.
Yeah,
I honestly that was one of my favorite scenes, just because like seeing the power of like women and just letting them how like tactically strong they were. Whew, my guy.
You know what I mean?
I would like to express some irritation though at the fact that the Amazon costumes in Wonder Woman were fantastic.
Yeah.
And like practical, like cool, and then the costumes in Justice League were suddenly weird and bad again. It was like, no.
Yeah, hang on. While we're on that, the CGI in this entire movie starts to fall apart. Once we get to Paradise Island, it starts to fall apart. I'm like, okay, one step. Honestly, when they're outside and they're riding horses,
I
you can start to see it fall apart.
And like, funny,
bro. The whole thing falls apart when you see Steppenwolf.
Yeah, for sure when he steps on the screen, but like when you're doing like the pan shot over Paradise Island, you can tell that's a big old green screen. Like, of course, most of it is, but like those are some of the scenes that it starts to. Oh, you can tell. Like the illusion is gone.
Yeah, of course. Everything was washed out, dude. The intro alone in Gotham City didn't look very impressive. Everything looked very just washed out, man. Like not put together very well. Like editing room just saturated too many colors. It just doesn't blend well. It's very kind of ugly to look at.
I didn't actually hate the intro in Gotham.
I liked it. Genuinely,
like I thought he looked like a Batman during that scene.
Yeah, for real. That's if you ripped comic book Batman off of the page and threw it at a screen, that's what I imagine a scene should look like.
Yeah, no problem. But the backdrop of the city just didn't look right either. It just looked very
fair,
very just not.
Batman doing a flip though.
That was great. Ben Affleck's parts and whatever Batman does is always great. It's just background seeing just looked like you can tell it was like a CG screen and they're on a set. It didn't look right to me, man. It looked pretty bad.
You want to know what else looked pretty bad? That entire weird flashback.
For
when we do the flashback to like the first time with Steppenwolf or whatever, that entire flashback was ugly.
For the talk about the history and all that stuff.
The epic war where all the gods are there, the lanterns are there, heroes are old, and blah blah blah, and all that jazz.
Don't skate over the lanterns like that. The fact that they're even in this movie is a godsend.
I mean, true.
This movie could have existed with or without them, but I like them there. It is my personal headcanon until we see a Green Lantern on screen that is the death that causes the Earthbound ring to go to somebody on Earth.
That's crazy because is that recirculating for a fucking long time because Steppenwolf attacked eons ago, man.
Right. I'm not saying Hal Jordan, right? I'm saying a person before him. There had to have been Earthbound Green Lanterns before Hal Jordan.
That I didn't like the way they used mother boxes as MacGuffin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're more than a teleporting box.
It's way more.
Way more. I know.
It gives birth to Superman. It gives Cyborg life.
Yep.
Yeah, but it didn't look right. It didn't make any sense. It didn't even try to explain mother boxes, which I get it. I get it. That would take a while. And it's one of those comic things that, you need at least a little bit of a background to get. But they were just here is MacGuffin. It will do whatever we ask it to for the plot. And it can't do anything else, or maybe it can. We're not going to tell you. That was it. I was like,
Wonder Woman did explain at least to a jest of what it could do. She did be like, hey, this thing does destroy as it does create and all that stuff.
But you see how random that is? It's it just does things. So their plan was to put Superman's body in a pool of goop and throw the box in there and then have a jolt of energy to do something. It's just is that how the box works? Because that's just random.
Hey, it's the movie. Joss Whedon
needed a charge, and he was in amniotic fluid.
Is that what the box is supposed to do? You just touch it with some energy and it just creates things?
It creates life.
No, but that's so bogus. So you mean how's a box work normally? You just touch the box and it just creates stuff? There's no explanation. It's just
in comics anyway.
If I found a taser, can I make the box create things whenever I want?
Listen, come on. It's gotta be enough. Right? The amount of electricity charged in the fucking Barry Allen here.
Yeah. I get
a cattle prod, not a taser.
I get the comic science and what they're trying to do, right? But So what? The box is just a stationary box, and it does nothing until you hit with a jolt of energy, and it just creates things. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Also,
is that how the box works?
Also, it very much seemed like the box of man, because there's 3 boxes in this film. There's one for the Amazons, the Atlanteans, and of men. The one of men,
I'm just burying it.
A, looks very like dormant than the other ones, and B, looks different, whereas in all the other flashbacks they all look the same.
I mean, this is what happens when you just put it in a hole in the ground and assume it'll be fine.
Way to go, Aragorn.
But like in Atlantis, they put it on a pedestal and left it alone. Shouldn't it have done the same thing? Or are you going to tell me that the seawater did something to it?
The whole thing's stupid. The whole thing's stupid. These boxes are dangerous as fuck, but we just have them exposed everywhere. And men go hole and buried it.
And job done. Like, what?
Yo, the least advanced race dug a hole and kept it safe and nobody touched that shit.
The boxes felt very much like the 12 Rings of the Lord of the Rings, but at least they knew what they were doing in that movie.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, at least they knew what the ring was capable of, and they had a goal. Dump it somewhere. These guys are like, hey, let's take the box, and I have this wicked idea. If you throw enough energy in it, in that fucking embryo tube down there, embryo pool down there, he's gonna come back to life for sure.
It was a guess!
Allegedly.
It was a guess. Even Aquaman was like, yeah, when you bring somebody back, he's missing something. And I'm like, yeah, when Superman came back, he wasn't fucking missing a thing. Don't even.
Yeah, he was missing something, all right. A proper upper lip.
Listen, I don't know if I've been fucking Mandela affected, but like, Jesus. I swear, in promotional material, it was Unite the 7. Somebody fucking count me 7.
I have a poster that says Unite the 7. You're not Mandela. I have the evidence.
No, they kept Alfred in the corner. You didn't see it. It's fine. It's a 7.
Oh, I know the 7th. I know the 7th member.
Who is it?
Martha. Why did you say that name?
Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck up.
Don't do that to
I hate you. I hate you already.
Don't do that to me. Mm-hmm. But for real, when actually like Ma Kent shows up on screen, wonderful thing. She still carries her role very well from movie to movie, and her interaction with Amy Adams, and when Superman comes back, awesome.
My problem is they downplayed Amy Adams a whole lot, and she's almost came off a little boring in this movie, or just not like very underused.
I almost prefer her that way, because this was Justice League. We're dealing with a beyond threat. What the fuck is a reporter going to do?
I guess, but if you're talking about Superman and bringing him back to life, and he's got to have that anchor, she should have had something a bit more pivotal than just being there out of just sheer convenience. Oh, call her to come here now because he's alive. Like,
if I may, sexy lamp.
There it is. Exactly.
You're not wrong. You know what?
All they needed was a lamp that Superman thought was really hot.
Stop. You're not wrong. But going on that part too, what bugged me, and I was just thinking about this like the other day, the romance level or connection still felt too quick between, let alone even Man of Steel and BVS, and then Justice League. It jumped too quick.
Yeah, it feels stilted to me. It doesn't feel very genuine.
Yeah, because but a scene, let alone, I'll go back to the resurrection fight with Clark, but just seeing that scene in the field, I was like, how are you not feeling well enough? Or, like, emotionally well enough that you were, like, not stable without this man, and you only know him for, like, what, maybe a few months, let alone less than a year? What?
Yeah, I don't know, man. The whole universe, like, again, the whole universe is rushed, so you can just feel it, right?
I felt it, man. I felt it quicker than she felt lost for him.
Oh, yeah.
The fuck?
She got real attached real fast.
Yeah, that's obsession.
The fact that Ezra Miller's Flash talks about he knows gorilla sign language, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Yo, I heard that and I was like, whoa, you're really throwing that meme in here?
You gonna throw me Gorilla Grodd? Now.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, confirmed, they gloss over Clark's resurrection, even though they had an open casket funeral at his house with everybody there.
The casket is different.
The casket's very different, too.
The one that is in Ma Kent's home and they put in the ground in the Kent farm is different than the one that Flash and Cyborg dig up.
Continuity errors.
Again, Clark is there with his jacket on, watching his mom and girlfriend or fiance or whatever stuff into the house, and we're just going to gloss over this guy's resurrection.
Fine, he's back writing articles again. No one minds.
He loaded the last save point. It's fine. It's just fine.
He slept in his bed, and everything was fine when he woke up. He was all free.
just like, fuck, I swear we buried you, man. Nah, dude. Mandela effect.
I was taking a vacation, but I worked on an article while I was dead. Don't worry about
it. Okay, but going to the resurrection scene, what was like really interesting, obviously with Clark and like the whole team, like, you know, they're trying to obviously hold him back. One of the most interesting things, and I still wanted to see a little bit more, was the interaction between Clark and Diana.
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
the fight scene. And so, let alone, I think when they're
playing tug of war with the lasso of truth.
Yes, let alone that scene. The scene where she was about to use the braces and just like clash them together.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he crept up to her, and it had a little, like, you know, like a game of like who's a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Freaking, as soon as she hit, and then like he hit, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then he hit back again, and she went diving into the pavement. I was like, I literally made a face like the freaking Pikachu meme, and I was like, oh my god. Like, I literally out loud gasped, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
I did the same fucking thing.
I'm like, Kal-El, you're just gonna piss. Like, your teammate, you're here is a god slayer, right?
Yeah.
She's done it before, so I mean, like, you're just gonna serve to piss her off. But I mean, yeah, bro, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, I was like,
Maybe Superman is a god, but she's a god slayer.
God slayer. So I mean, you're just gonna piss her off to some degree. But
oh man,
all right, she was just being easy on you at that point.
Yeah, I was like, right? Frick, because I was like, man, like, she just really knocked her head in there, and I was like,
even though she's like, yo, okay. Clark, all right, I don't want to hurt you, man.
Yeah. I don't want to do this, but
I want to do this, man.
I like you, but we don't got to do this.
I appreciated the little, you know, you got to go fast, but oh shit, he can go kind of fast himself.
That's kind of cool.
Like, that's nice.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, when Flash kind of swoops in and was like, oh yeah, watch this, guys. Superman looks behind him and goes, nuh-uh, bitch.
So that scene, okay, so that scene was when they went to infiltrate, I think, retrieve, save Victor's father, right? And they saw Steppenwolf there with the parademons, and Flash was like, I don't fight. I run, I save people. I just, sometimes I run and just push them.
I never done this before.
Exactly, and it calls back to like when he's trying to like speed around Clark, right? And then Clark notices him. Clark's swiping at him, right? And what does Ezra do? But he pushes him. But when he pushes him, he flies back into the wall because of all by the sheer force, right? So it's a little call back to like what he said. He's not a fighter. He just runs and he pushes people, and he did it again, but he flew into a wall because of it, right?
I mean, if you're fast enough, all you have to do is run and push people.
That's it.
We have a whole
move
family in DC devoted to running fast and pushing people.
Just pushing people.
Oh man.
I appreciate. Well, no, maybe appreciate's the wrong word. Listen, they borrowed a lot from like Quicksilver's like portrayal in the X-Men movies. But that's fine. I'm okay with them borrowing that because how else are you going to do that?
Exactly. It only makes sense.
Because that was one of the best depictions of what it means to be a speedster we ever had on screen.
Yeah.
If the Flash movie, when eventually that one comes out, doesn't, lean on it, but like uses it, I would not bend it against itself.
I guess we're closing to the end on this one.
Superman and Batman, they have a bromance. Nobody can tell me otherwise.
No, the bromance grows. It grows at the end. I mean, look, during the course of the movie, Bruce had, Bruce's boner went down. He's like, I fucked up. I killed the boyfriend by accident, man. I should have done it.
Let alone that, let's just not forget the part before Superman becomes, somewhat back to normal. Like, this man, Superman dead as went back to Batman as soon as he's on him. He's like, oh, you motherfucker. I remember what you did to me. You don't like me, but you want me back here. Why do you need me, bitch?
But it makes no sense. It's just like, why? Like the very last thing you did was team up, and you made friends afterwards. Remember, Martha? Why did you say that name?
Yeah,
but it made you bros. It made you bros.
Yeah, so but he also didn't forget. He also didn't forget to say like, hey, do you bleed? And I swear to God, I could hear his skull crushing by like a little bit.
No, that scene would have worked better if like he grabbed him and he's like, do you bleed? And Bruce should have just said, Martha. Fix the whole situation because Martha is the key word. It fixes everything.
The fight with Steppenwolf was really disappointing.
Yeah, at the end, I'm like,
we got to see Aquaman be strong. We got to see him and Wonder Woman collab a little bit, which was nice.
Him and Batman.
We mostly saw Batman fuck around. I don't know. He wasn't very impressive at all during that fight, though he was sure present, I guess. Cyborg got to fuck all. And then Clark goes up and Deus Ex Machinas it, and then we're done.
Yeah, the fight's hokey as shit. Nothing happens until Superman shows up, like you said, and he throws a couple blows, and he says like a one-liner or two, and he laughs a couple of bits, and he's like, I just came back to life, I want to keep living, and ha ha ha, and they win. And...
Allow me to stand in its corner for a hot second.
And before you do, remember, Steppenwolf only lost because fear. Parademons smell fear.
So I'm not going to stand in the corner for that one. I'm going to bop it right in its stupid motherfucking face. How do you lose to the, like, it goes Darkseid, Steppenwolf, Parademons. How did you lose to somebody below you?
It does. Your foot soldiers killed you. The fear. Something that, what?
That's like the putties losing to, like, or Zed losing to the putties.
Zed losing the putties. Great.
But you know what that scene reminds me of? Literally, the ending scene of Lion King, where Scar literally was getting eaten by the hyenas. I kid you not. I sat there thinking, I was like, yo, did they just pull a Lion King?
In this movie, it's like, you smell that?
Yeah, right? That's fear.
No, the Parademons, deadass, were like, yeah, you boys smell that? It smells like bitch in here. Like,
smells like toast. Let's go get it.
Yeah.
So, to stand in his corner at the very end for a second, the final battle, pre-Superman showing up, it is my personal opinion, and the way I watch the movie, that they get really close, but the thing that holds the team together is Superman himself. So it's hope, it's, justice, and I cannot believe that Cavill dropped that line. I'm like, listen, that's a little heavy-handed, that's a little on the nose. Had you just shown up and just ran through it, fine. But you had to stand there, mock the bitch, and then move on. It shows kind of like, oh, Cyborg is incomplete without Superman's not just hope, but power. It shows that Barry needs someone to, in my eyes, play with, Man's a virgin who watches K-pop in his spare time. Like,
the one thing I can really say is that if you're gonna ever film a comic action scene, and like, again, stuff from Snyders, like, reel, you should study, because he really does know how to make a panel pop to like real life. That's the one thing I can actually say about these films, is like, when it comes down to action, it looks like a comic book should look like. So
agreed. Better
than like MCU movies are great. A lot of their fight scenes are all like cuts, cut, right? It's a lot of like just shots. As where this is like,
this flows.
It looks like a panel. Yeah, it flows like a panel. So like, they're just, I don't know, they're a little bit more enjoyable to watch. It looks like an actual action sequence.
Like, we collectively have read a lot of bad comic books because it was a comic book. And this movie is kind of like that. It is not a good story, but it is a comic story.
Yeah.
It is the characters we love as they should be seen, even if they're doing stupid things sometimes because the plot says it's time to do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? For that, I think this movie deserves something resembling props.
I think the best thing this movie has going for it, and genuinely, like in a previous episode, we've said that the best thing about a movie is its end. However, genuinely, when hope is there in this universe, and Cyborg gets a new costume, and Batman's got some hope, and Aquaman goes to fuck off somewhere, I genuinely enjoyed where we ended the film.
I suppose so. It sets us up for something brighter eventually, but that remains as a subject to change, because now we have the Snyder version coming. So
right. So there for a hot second. So the reason that Zack Snyder left this film is the death of his daughter. And so because movies can get very taxing, especially when you're on the creative director side, Zack Snyder had to step down, and Joss Whedon was called upon by Warner Brothers to complete the film and put it out for its release date. They had to do some reshoots, to which we got a glimpse of, and we probably should not have. And that is where everybody, especially on this show, that is where a majority of this movie falls apart. Is some of it you can tell is from the reshoots. It doesn't flow from the last scene super well, but close, real close, but not all the way.
That's completely correct, man. Like, you can tell, you can almost see who directed what scene.
Almost. Some of it's a little fuzzy, but I don't mean to speak for everybody, but I'm going to try to. With the Snyder Cut at least announced, and we have a rough release date, or release window anyway, I am looking forward to seeing how this movie, could have been done with more money, and less hands in all the pots.
Agreed. And
see who else... we have a glimpse of the Green Lantern, but should we have paid it off? We have a name drop of Darkseid, but who the fuck cares? If he's not the villain of the Justice League movie in which you set up previously, Why did you drop it in the previous one? But that's neither here nor there.
Again, exactly. The Snyder Cut promises to give us all that.
I believe that leaves us one thing to do.
Where do we scale this fucker?
So, folks, what are we thinking?
6.5.
Really?
I wouldn't give it a half, but I'd be okay with making it like a 5.5.
No, so just to give everybody perspective, we've got Man of Steel at 6 out of 10. We've got BVS at 3 out of 10. We got Suicide Squad at 2 out of 10. We got Wonder Woman 10 out of 10.
The 7, just because it is better than Man of Steel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. At that point, I'm leaving it at the same. I guess the same. Or you know what? Fuck it. I'll put it at 6 because honestly, I honestly between the two films, I'd rather just watch Man of Steel again because at least with that film, getting a Superman film from start to end, Justice League feels like a disjointed mess, and the story just seems to be like Man of Steel story at least works. Justice League story is stupid.
If somebody in the comments can please just show me where mother boxes actually joined together and that's a plot from a comic book, yeah, that'd be great. Because as far as I was aware, mother boxes work almost like instant cell phones.
Yes,
yeah,
dude.
but like with a million different apps.
Yeah.
Put in that movie. That movie's going down to like a 5.5. I'd rather Man of Steel over the Justice League. Period.
I'll give it a decent 6.
You know what?
Because by itself or certain parts, like it was still good. Surprisingly, even for me coming, but yeah.
Table yours?
I can leave it at 6 and just go.
I see it much better than Man of Steel, but that's just me because this movie was bright and shiny, and I like bright and shiny.
Leave it at 6 as our collective claim, with Red wanting to put it a little bit higher and Sheena wanting to put it a little bit lower.
Hey.
But that brings us to the fish boy.
The Fishman.
The Little Mermaid.
The Seaman. I mean, what?
The intro to that movie didn't make any fucking sense.
So, to intro that intro, Aquaman was directed by James Wan. It was released December 21st, 2018, which was just a wild Christmas movie. It had a budget of $180 million and a box office of $1.1 billion. It is the first movie in this franchise to break the billion.
Okay, so...
There were some shots that I really enjoyed, where I went, that's a cool visual, but... There's a lot of stuff that's just, to say funky would be underselling it.
It's oh dude. So like when you get to the aquarium, he's a kid, right? He's talking to the fish, gets bullied by these bullies, right? Also the shark knocks on the tank and scares everybody there watching. Mm-hmm. And then they suddenly see Arthur, the eyes glow, bright yellow, whatever, and everybody gasps even, right? Then we just pan over to he's an adult. And so, like, what happened? Like, just gonna gloss over like his childhood, like.
Well, and we get flashbacks to him, like, very slowly growing up. And genuinely, I would have liked to have seen an Aqualad movie in the way Shazam is. Then I would have liked to continue watching this movie.
Like, it's so weird because like everybody witnesses this child do something like meta-humanish, but then we just gloss over to like adult, and even when you do flashbacks, it's just flashbacks of him being trained. So like, did he have to disappear? Did we have to hide him because reasons? Like, there's no explanation to anything. It's just we gloss over it.
Did they call his dad?
You know what I mean? It's so weird. We just go from his childhood to him like saving a bunch of sailors from fucking Black Manta and the crew. There's no in between as to like, did we have to like hide him from public because he was different? Nothing. There's no consequence to that, and it's just stupid. The whole scene falls flat.
Before we gloss over that, like intro of him coming into the submarine to save the people, that intro, it kills me because jumping back from Justice League when he has his like whole like hog wild cowboy sounds.
Yeah.
The way he comes into that boat, he's like permission to come aboard. Dead ass. All I could think of was like, man, this boy's Cowboy Atlantis.
Fucking pirate over here.
I was like, this is Cowboy Bebop vibes, but like this is so weird, and it's like a drunk superhero, and it was funny, and I was like, whoa, what are you doing?
The whole thing was like you're supposed to like Aquaman, then like he fights Black Manta and his dad, and he refuses to go save him, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you that makes Aquaman not a very likable guy. Then the movie confuses itself by trying to make you like Black Manta, who's a bad guy, by making him go through like it's the pacing on this movie's fucked up for certain characters. Like,
he did explain the reason why, which was somewhat understandable, but at the same time still kind of weird. Because like I remember, because I was watching that scene very hard too. Like he was just like, yo, come on, like, you gotta help my dad, like, all this stuff, obviously. But Aquaman was just like, bro,
Actually, no, I don't.
yeah, like, you kind of murdered, like, innocent people.
Yeah, but,
so,
like,
You also tried to kill me. Go fuck yourself.
He later on explains to Mira that he's after him because he left his dad to die instead of helping them, which he could have done. So I mean, like, you only find redemption later on, but you're not even getting redemption because you just realized that you're a shithead, that you should have helped.
It's unfortunate that we have to learn that through Mara.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean. So like, you're supposed to like Aquaman, but he's an unlikable guy. And you're not supposed to like Black Manta, but you're trying to make him likable. And you give him
every time Black Manta turns up, it's comedic though.
Yeah,
and he turns up, gets his ass beat, and disappears again.
You give him like an Iron Man moment, and like it's so bizarre, man.
Also,
in Justice League, Aquaman talks to Mara, and she explains who she is. Then we get to this movie, and she explains who she is. Whereas in BVS, when she shows up for 0.2 seconds, they know who each other is. That can't happen in that order.
Look, Arthur just has a really shitty memory, face blindness, and might have been drunk.
Like, the beginning of Aquaman gives me more of like what Thor could have been doing in old Asgard. It's the same way that Mara, I will not be referring to this character by their actor's name. They have done many a thing that has not made them even worth mentioning. So from here on forward, it's just Mara. The character of Mara wine bends, for lack of a better term, and that shouldn't be possible.
There's lack of water and wine, but cool.
So in the drinking aspect, there's got to be lots of water, because how else are they absorbing so much? And another scene, there's no water. So like, what's alcohol? What is alcohol?
It's liquid. I guess it works. It applies.
I kid you not. I looked at that scene, and literal waterbending. I saw that scene actually like getting the I guess harpoons of the wine, and I immediately thought to that DMC reboot, and I was like, man, did she just activate her double trigger? Because like that's what just happened.
Terrible.
Wow. Well, I didn't know if she was a Nephilim, but okay, all right. So, like,
the fact of we do the joke of, oh, this thing needs water and it's the desert. Oh, where do we find water?
In his forehead.
I have never.
That whole scene in the desert is hurtful to watch.
I don't like it.
No. It was just really weird that we suddenly became an Indiana Jones movie.
Exactly. And then like watching Jason Momoa play off of Mira, right? Mm-hmm. Their on-screen chemistry is non-existent. Jason Momoa's like reactions to her lines seemed almost forced and hokey. Even it fucking hurt to watch.
Very weird energy
and very little to go off of.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It almost was a bit more rushed than Lois and Superman.
For sure. Absolutely.
No, because watching the scenes where they interact was like, okay, they're talking, whatever. But as they slowly get closer together, even to the scene where Black Manta has his upgraded suit, like I was like, they were at the fountain. I was like, okay, they're having interaction, and then there's like this weird chemistry that's trying to pop up, and then later on in the movie, they kiss.
I'll give you a sense of how hokey this really is, okay? So, in the last previous movies, he's literally fought, like, hordes of parademons, went against Steppenwolf, right? He's been shot at and whatnot. He fought against Superman, right? Here it is now. He's got to fight Orm. Mera breaks him out, right? She's commandeering a ship. She's steering it, right? They're getting shot at, and suddenly he's got fear in his heart. And he's making sounds as if he's scared, and he's like, whoa, and like, afraid of her flying or driving or whatever. And it's out of character. It makes no sense.
You scared of an underwater ship, bro?
Right, it doesn't make, and you like, it doesn't make sense. You're able to swim. You've been shot at by things even worse than cannons, and this is what makes you scared suddenly for comic reaction,
for bad comedic writing. That is why.
That movie's hokey, dude.
The child actors who play younger him do a much better job.
Except for the one on the beach, he was kind of like a bit stilted, but like I get it.
Like it felt forced or like stiff.
Like it didn't feel like genuine acting, but I mean, hey.
The fact that we have to fucking prove that Aquaman is who he says he is and do a fight scene and the underwater shit looks really, really gross.
It's dumb. Their hair looks especially stupid.
Shiny seaweed.
Oh, it looks bad. Like you can tell they had like a CG screen cap on their head and they had to put their hair on. Like it's just bad, man. It looks very fake.
Yeah, the CG and like I said before for Justice League that the CG kind of falls apart. Holy shit, the moment like Jason Momoa's character steps into the water and puts his head under, that's it. It's
just
It's
bad.
not great. Also, all the fish people look stupid.
Yeah.
Speaking of people, did you guys notice that all Atlanteans were all white?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you live underwater, you are white or a crab.
Or just straight up fish.
I remember in the origin they say, like, those who didn't stick around devolved into like fish people. So my bone to pick is that they got the one black actor in this movie, and I looked at the cast, and he's the only one literally play a king that's been degraded to a fish person to only get killed by King Orm within 3 minutes of his appearance.
I don't know if because that specific scene was technically, when they mentioned that was supposed to be like part of the evolvation of like, because obviously, let alone like being able to breathe underwater, that specific scene was supposed to be the evolved form, while the depth monsters were the de-evolved form in a sense.
I don't know, dude. They could have left him just black. He could have just been black on screen. He didn't have to be a fish guy to get killed.
I didn't write this movie. I'm just saying that's how it was written in the movie.
Right.
That's how I'm leaving it.
I mean, hey, all underwater royalty is white. So I mean, there's that.
I didn't hate the idea of the fish people, because I was like, oh, that's neat. I guess that not everything underwater is explicitly humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yikes, in terms of the actual execution of it. Also, we had another like, ooh, spooky zombies monster hordy thing.
Oh yeah.
Which, because suddenly we became a horror movie for like 5 minutes.
So why are we having Aquaman talk and fight against a giant kraken thing?
Because krakens are neat, and also you don't have to show the whole thing on frame, so you save CGI budget.
And then have this Joyce Momoa fly like swim around and get slapped into things to waste time. That whole scenario falls apart too. That whole scene is just bad.
But they showed a kraken later, so like
They showed the kraken later. And I wanted to like that big fight really bad. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to like that battle, but like it looked fake as shit.
It's bad, man.
The only part of that fight I genuinely enjoy is one or two little character moments, and I like the way the Kraken looks.
Yes.
I like its not it the CGI that like makes it exist, but like its structure.
It looks like something that's been living at the bottom of the ocean for time untold, and it's crawled out to fuck up your shit. I respect that.
It speaks perfect yield English, and the whole scene. Yeah, the whole scene is just dumb. Him talking to a giant sea creature thing is just stupid.
Yeah, I still don't really understand why we had to do that. Even though I watched the entire film, I watched this film within a week of its coming out. I watched it for this series, and I'm still not fully sold on why we had to go talk to her.
It's just there. Because he has to go retrieve the fucking trident.
Because he has no credibility as a ruler of Atlantis, because he spent time on the surface, so he's got to go get an heirloom from the fucking depths of the universe.
But you forget it's because he's a muggle.
Question mark?
Fuck, man.
But Table, the thing is, you forget he's a muggle. I mean, half-breed. Yeah, so like
whatever, dude. So basically, what they did with this movie was they took a kid in King Arthur's court, or King Arthur himself, a lot, right? It's sort of Excalibur, and just made it into a trident instead, and had Arthur, intended, go retrieve the fucking thing to claim his royalty, like Arthur Pendragon. Movie sucks.
That's all the things. Yep. I liked that horror movie man was in it.
Patrick Wilson.
I thought that was fun. I like seeing him in things that aren't horror movies because I'm like, it's you.
I like Patrick Wilson. He does his job whenever he's in stuff. He does his part. So
yeah,
I liked him as King Orm because he whenever he's on screen he's believable as whatever he's doing, right? So he was enjoyable in this movie.
But I did think the ending for Orm was silly.
I don't mind it in that we don't have to outright kill him. We could keep him as a prisoner for fucking up, and maybe give him a chance at rehabilitation. Sure, I mean, you don't have to kill a brother. We don't have to lose him either, right? Mm-hmm. It kind of works. It just that whole event of how it happens, it just seems very boring-ish, right? Like not even like any last words from him or anything. It's just like he just walks away.
I will say though that one thing I've very much noticed in the way DC movies end, which I hadn't really thought about up until this whole marathon that we've been doing, but that Aquaman does as well, is that it ends like a comic arc, where Marvel movies end like a movie ends. Yeah. In that in comics, you end, you tidy it up, you probably don't kill anything other than like, the minions, and you imprison the evil, or you put it away, or you like do whatever, and you move on with your lives. Where in Marvel, they kind of like constantly kill the problem over and over and over again. and it's like, bam, it's dead, it's final. And
Yeah.
like, this was more true to the spirit of superhero stuff, that no, you don't kill your problems. Sometimes
they don't have to always die, right? Like we can kind of save one or two. Like having him just turn his back and walk away and be like, when you're ready, we can talk. And he doesn't even say a fucking last word. He just looks at him and just walks away. It seems very.
They ended the contract right there. They're like, hey, so no more words right after this part. You just shut up.
Yeah, we can't pay any more Patrick Wilson for talking, so just walk away.
You're not being possessed, so you got to shut up now.
But at the same time, they left basically every plot thread from that movie dangling at the end, and I don't respect that.
I think the scientist ranks high on one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Oh god, that conspiracy theorist.
Dr. Stephen Shin.
One that ends up helping Black Manta at the end, at post credits.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't mind, mostly because like his character didn't do a whole bunch, but I think that's in his benefit.
Suppose. I mean, I enjoyed the Black Manta origin movie.
That's what it was.
Well, we were forced to watch like the Aquaman film, while in the background we had the Black Manta film happening.
Basically, what it was. I rather the Black Manta movie. Honestly,
you killed my dad. I'll come back for you.
Intersected, and he got his ass beat, and then he fucked off again, and then it was like, oh. Okay.
Although, mind you, when they were in was it Italy? I think the Mediterranean, when they were looking for the location for the
I think it was Italy, yeah.
I think it was Italy.
Yeah.
Like when he does show up, like he puts Aquaman through the fucking ringer. Like he's
a threat for sure.
Yeah, he put him through some punishment, man. So I mean, like Aquaman was no joke. I mean, like just happenstance, like he fucking Arthur throws the fucking thing and it wraps around his head and blah blah blah. So we just write him out that way, but. Black Manta was a force, man, and I kind of want more. I wanted more of that.
Yes, wait for Black Manta 2. I mean, Aquaman 2.
I mean, based on how that movie ended, yeah, he will be back. We will see him again, and
also, this movie made $1 billion. Of course, it's getting a sequel. Now, very recently at DC Fandom, they talked about what Aquaman 2 might or might not be, and all they have said is it's going to be bigger and badder than this one. And so what that means to me,
I have some concerns.
I also have some concerns. What that means to me is you don't know.
But James Wan did mention that he wants to put a few more little horror tropes that he likes using.
Good.
Sequels. So
I want this to be an under the sea like horror, like
that's
exploration.
What he kind of said it was. Yeah, he said he was going to kind of gravitate towards that.
The ocean, very scary. Let's play with it.
He's not gonna go too heavy-handed where it's gonna be like just an outright horror film, but it's gonna be kind of like thriller in a sense, on the edge of your seat kind of idea. And that's how you're supposed to do it.
I bet I could tell you why Justice League's fight cuts were worse. Because DC does character stuff. Like that's the thing. The stories aren't particularly good at this point, but it's all incredibly character driven, and that's what makes these movies good. So Justice League, in order to give us those character moments, in order to give time to each character as best they could, we had to cut from person to person. Yeah. Instead of watching in a single sequence, where if you have 2 or 3 characters on screen, you can sort of unify them and their movements. Justice League couldn't afford to.
Right, so like the scene where we're saving Vic's dad and all that happening compared to like Batman in the warehouse. That whole scenario in the warehouse is like almost one whole motion. Sure, there's cuts, but you're getting everything in one cut. You're getting everything in one scene. And that's how it's supposed to be done.
Aquaman did that pretty well.
It did. I'll give it that much.
I'll throw like one little interesting tidbit. But once Aquaman got the trident from the king that was, I guess, holding from it, right? But in my headcanon, what I saw once he had held the trident and then it got like closer to his eyes, and then obviously the proper power of using the trident came to him. I was like, it felt like they were pulling a Thundercat moment.
Pretty much.
Like
that's exactly what that would be.
Because the way his eyes lit up and the way the positioning of where the trident was, I was like, they're really pulling it. Like they're really doing this.
I know Aquaman are the same guy. Oh man, Sword of Omens. Oh man.
So in a little bit of research, not only is this movie getting a sequel, right, Aquaman 2, because it made $1 billion. Like if you make $1 billion, you get into 2. That's just the way it is. It's getting a spin-off movie called The Trench, and it's going to be 100% horror. And it's getting an animated miniseries on HBO Max called Aquaman, King of Atlantis.
The hell? Okay.
They're really doubling down on the Aquaman.
Which is fine. Like, I appreciate us going further into the Aquaman character, as opposed to, Oh, haha, look at the guy who talks to fish.
I guess, man. Honestly, Aquaman's largely just this guy in the water, dude. Like, for me, his inclusion on surface is very minimal. And like, even when you stack him with the other leaguers, he's always panned into the background. So like, significance for me is like the whole world's not really clamoring for Aquaman movie. It made 1.1 billion because Jason Momoa is wet on screen, and that's why that works.
And it was released in a year without a Star Wars, so
let's get to the rankings because I could beat on this movie some more, and I don't want to anymore.
I'll go first, but I can put it at an easy 5. And
I'm
I have
with
my
you.
reasons.
I'm with you because this is completely watchable. It's just really fucking weird to watch.
Yeah.
You're like, huh.
There are questionable points, but as a movie, it was still, like, even seeing it a second time, I was still okay with it. Questionable, but still okay.
I struggle to stay awake to watch it. It's boring in the middle. Things are predictable. I've seen this movie before. If you catch my drift, right? It's just nothing new comes out of it. Some interactions between certain actors is very poor. It doesn't seem very like organic. It doesn't seem very like believable.
It unfortunately carries all the weight of the actress who plays Mara.
That's right. Like, so for me, this movie, if you're giving it, I'm giving it a 4. This movie sucks too. This movie's bad.
Fair.
Honestly, I'm in on a 4. Mostly because, like, even in double viewing, I can sit here and talk to you about the movie, but a lot of it's forgettable. Like, I'm having troubles, like, for sure, you guys talked a lot about the movie, but I didn't have very much to add because, this point and this point and this point, but I didn't have anything else to add.
There's not much to it, man. This movie is just, like, and it's hard to believe it's part of the it's not hard to believe it's part of the DC catalog compared to everything else that came up.
It's like a fart. It's funny in the moment, and then when you put it down, it's like, and we're moving on.
Yeah, exactly it.
Oh, that happened? Okay, continue.
Mm-hmm.
We could split the difference, give it a 4.5.
I'll settle on a 4.5. I can live with that.
Yeah, because that's what it seems.
Put the half in because of the action scenes, because those were always fly.
Mm-hmm. Everything else is still questionable.
For me, a bit of it too is the costume design. Just some of it just seemed, the soldiers seemed very off. But like, Orm had cool stuff, Aquaman had cool stuff. You know, like everybody else just seemed kind of like, you know. So
even the Queen herself had like nice costume changes here and there too.
So I mean, I don't know, 4.5. I'll settle on 4.5.
I would also like to contribute something that we haven't actually said yet.
Oh, go on, please.
Go ahead.
Crab people.
Wait, don't you mean no?
Oh no.
Looks like that too.
All right, Beastie, if you could.
That brings us to back onto the mainland of our socials, which is our Twitter at Crusade Nerd. The Instagram is obviously at Nerd Crusade, and we upload every Wednesday to YouTube. And you can download any previous episodes or listen on your mobile device to the Anchor FM website or wherever podcasts are found by searching Nerd Crusade.
And that's to be continued.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, go ahead and button mash a thumbs up. If you want to swing by when we have a new video, web up the sub button. Oh, and while you're at it, hit the bell to be notified by